When we stand before something truly inspiring, and because of its mysterious profundity, there is nothing present in mind but silence and awe, we learn something of ourselves in that strange, enchanting response to the sublime. We learn that, quite definitely, we feel something outside of ourselves, out of this world, pulling at some obscure but resonating force within. We learn that something existential can dissolve our very sense of self and leave us indivisibly naked in the vastness of a completely beautiful moment in time, some inner vision that moves us temporarily away from any accumulation of stress or anxiety that we may have been carrying inside of our hearts. This awe is something that philosophers, writers, and mystics have mused upon for thousands of years, particularly the being's internal psychological reaction to such awe, the spiritual elevation that can be stimulated by the view of a sensational night sky, a staggering, indomitable mountain range, or an enriching and uplifting piano concerto. Such awe, upon stopping us directly in our otherwise uncertain tracks, immediately transports us from one state of being to another, returning soon after to find that it has left some mark upon us that stays from that moment on, that stays with us always. Fundamentally, we appear to be responding to some obscure yet undeniably powerful force in nature, one which inspires a benevolent instinct within, an instinct that was otherwise buried beneath the lifeless grip of societal structure, that we know essentially in most part to be nothing more than corrupt by design and heartless by essence. The moment the spirit is in brief yet direct communication with the creative energies of the universe, that feeling of awe, we sense our own affinity with this eternity, with nature. We sense some small semblance of connectivity, of purpose, of truth, of reason. Within that dissolution of self, that loss of ego, we stand helpless, speechless, beneath the majesty of creation. We experience an equilibrium with the intangible, which is sometimes imprecisely referred to as mystical. The human being's response to the sublime is a response which elicits the closest approximation knowable in this life, devoid of the psychedelic experience, to a direct interaction with the divine, a spiritual amalgamation of vibrations, sounds, and senses that lay beyond the comprehension of the usual self, the usual terrestrial plane of one's limited senses. This experience of awe should be proof enough that in some, as of yet unknowable way, we have an innate and indivisible link to the source of everything that we purport to already know, along with the infinite mystery of everything that we could never know. In short, irrespective of theological knowledge or the brilliance of modern science and tech, there is a purpose to our existence. There is indeed meaning to life. We have a spirit which longs for expansion, for development, just as all living, intelligent things of this earth intuitively know. We are indeed the microcosm within the macrocosm. The planet that we inhabit can be viewed as a theatre of experience, a university that provides us with food, water, air, and shelter. During our small allotment of precious time here, we should endeavour to grow as human beings, to learn and to progress, to continue to evolve beyond our present state until we have directly engaged and successfully amplified our gift of consciousness, which is the collective mind of the universe. There are undoubtedly far wider-reaching implications to life. The intelligent beings are susceptible to such, but instead of succumbing to those subtleties, opposed to making distinctions and judgments, learning lessons, cultivating spirit, we are driven to the point of distraction by the constantly suppressive and sedative ideology of production, acquisition, and consumption, which is a soulless cycle that captivates us and drives us, eventually, into spiritual oblivion. Technological society is a relentless storm which drowns the inner voice of reason. Upon closer inspection, observing how modern society behaves as part of this technological age appears to have been expressly engineered to exploit the most negative impulses of the human being, to stimulate greed and envy, lust and selfishness, but never even comes close to any sort of fundamental insight or profound message of revelation. Just as Big Bang theorists have considered the genesis of the cosmos, we must consider the possibility that consciousness drives creation, that the matter before mind model is instead mind before matter, and that the physical realms are expressions of this consciousness. And we all find ourselves here upon this global stage essentially to grow and learn. To learn lessons that can only be experienced through the complexity of the emotionally charged physical matter-based plane of existence. We are coerced into believing fervently that there is no transcendental meaning to life, that spirit or consciousness is but the intricate workings of the brain, an illusion, so to speak, that physical death is the end, that we are random chemical chance. We cannot disprove this theoretic rhetoric, but equally we cannot prove it either. What if consciousness was the true source, the well from which all matter-based manifestations sprang? What if evolution has been driven by this universal consciousness for billions of years to bring us exactly where we are at this present moment in time, with the cognitive ability to distinguish the moral from the immoral and the logical from the illogical? What if this universal consciousness, or Great Spirit, as the ancient wisdoms referred to it, initiated the process of evolution to cultivate an ideal physical platform for the purposes of higher learning, so that human beings could truly grow the way that was always intended, to separate light from darkness, to separate good from evil? The earth is a theatre of experience, a stage in which the great riddles of a cosmic drama unfold with each lesson learned, a place where we are permitted the privilege of life in order that we may contribute to the benevolent and ever-expanding architecture of creation. There is a guiding spirit that sits within, one that intuitively resists against the demonic, technological, mechanical aspirations of this profoundly sick society. Life is the most precious gift of all. It is an extraordinary opportunity to create further bliss, to provide the atmosphere whereby another creature may experience magnificent visions and feelings of beauty, experience awe. Life is a small and chaotic allotment of complicated moments in time, and it can either be squandered on the pleasures of ignorance, or treated as it should, as a journey towards the divine, as a pathway towards infinity. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.